Tanjiro Kamado. Pain, when talking about his life, is an understatement. Pain is something that you may feel from time to time. No, this is not what Tanjiro felt. He felt torment. He felt this unlikely burn in his soul that he needed to do more. He was loved by everyone, not just his family. His family loved him to death, and he did everything for them, but even the people in various villages loved Tanjiro. Loved him so much. They thought so highly of him. But the thing is, none of that matters in this world. He may have been a good kid. He may have done good things, but at the end of the day, it all comes down to surviving, and he quickly learns that when he finds the dead bodies of his family on the ground. When he sees this though, and he sees his sister alive, this switch turns on for him. This idea that he was such a prodigy, that he was so nice, he was so perfect, switched on. He realized that he truly needed to be perfect from here on out. Whatever type of monster did this, whatever person did this, they obviously did this with massive amounts of power backing them. He doesn't know. He's not sure who exactly would even have done this, but he picks up his sister, runs off, and falls off a cliff. He lands in the snow with his sister and hopes for the best, dragging her along just for her to awaken as the monster that he wasn't sure could have killed his parents. Maybe something like her killed all of them, and she somehow got turned. Nezuko begins to jump on him, trying to kill Tanjiro, but he's able to fend her off and get her off of him. But the thing is, she's so much stronger than ever before. When he kicks her off, she immediately is back on trying to kill Tanjiro. But just as Tanjiro is about to kick her off once again, a man goes in, swooping in, trying to slice her head off. But Tanjiro saves her. Tanjiro is able to help, cover her up, and make sure that she doesn't die. But this man questions him. "What the hell do you think you're doing, kid? That's a demon you have there." But he doesn't listen. All he wants to do is protect his sister. But the man just yoinks his sister from him as soon as possible, keeping her hostage. "You can't protect her. She's a demon now. It's that simple. She'll have to die." But just as Tanjiro watches the man put the blade to his sister's neck, he thinks about the move that this man just did. Thinks about this fluid movement that he was controlling. His movement was unlike anything he's seen. It was as if it was superhuman of some sorts. Tanjiro grabs his hatchet and begins sprinting at the man. But this mist of smoke begins to come out of his mouth, and for some reason he feels stronger. He slices at the man, and even the man has to dodge, making sure that he doesn't just get decapitated. Dodging quickly, knocking out Tanjiro, staring at him. What the hell did he just do? Is he a demon slayer? No, I've never seen this kid in my life. He looks at Nezuko as Nezuko kicks him away, jumping toward Tanjiro, trying to protect him. Now you two are interesting. But you, what is wrong with you? I'll need to go see what happens. I need to take him away now. Yo, what is good, everybody? It's your boy Golden Falls, Golden What If, whatever you want to call me. And guess who's back? I'm back. And we are here with a Tanjiro What If. It took me long enough, I know. And before anybody says anything, I know sun breathing is like created, or everything is created based upon sun breathing. I understand that. But that's not the point of this. It's because every single version of breathing styles has their own techniques, has their own like way of movement, has their own way of sword styles. So I thought it would be awesome to have him master all breathing styles. And I know some people may be like, oh, well, technically sun breathing is mastering because they're connected. It's not really true. But nonetheless, I hope y'all enjoy this. I'm just going to go along with it. Shout out to my boy XBlick. His link will be in the description for the thumbnail. He helped me with it. So, and that's about it. I hope y'all enjoy. And let's just get right back into the what if. Let's get it. Tanjiro, after a long while, wakes up And when he does, he looks around in a panic, running around trying to find Nezuko. But then he runs into someone? A person. A tall person, actually. And he looks into the man's eyes, but it seems as if the man is blind. He's not so sure. And he questions what's happening, that where's his little sister? In which the stone Hashira grabs Tanjiro and guides him over to where all the Hashira are currently meeting. Tanjiro isn't sure what's going on. He's asked everybody, and most of the Hashira say to basically quiet down. But some of the other female, and also Tomioka, basically tells them to let the boy speak. He doesn't really know what's even happening at this point. He was knocked out for a long while. In which Tanjiro questions one more time, "Where's my little sister? Where's Nezuko?" In which they begin to say that she's currently trapped in a room. That Tomioka actually got her kind of in a weird hypnotic trance. Actually, more specifically, his master did, Urokodaki. But Tanjiro again questions why he's even here, and what are they going to do with Nezuko? Are they going to kill her? One of the Hashira, the Wind Hashira, out of a spur of the moment, and frankly just his personality, says that is the plan, that they will murder her. But Tanjiro says that that can't happen. He'll take her away and just never come back. But they say that's not the case. They need Tanjiro here, that he is special in some sort of way. Some of the Hashira disagree with that idea, that he is not special, that if he was, they would have heard about him a long time ago. But Tomioka says once again that he is special. But Tomioka once again goes silent. He's not too big of a people person, but he wants to get his point across. Shinobu questions why Tomioka would think he's so special, and Tomioka slightly explains. The boy, he used water breathing in an instant by just seeing it one time. Don't know how. It wasn't with a sword. It was with an axe or some hatchets. I don't know, honestly. Tomioka, after saying this, is questioned by everybody. Like, if he's sure. If he's 100% certain, that's exactly what Tanjiro did. But he is. He's certain. He doesn't know what happened, but Tanjiro was somehow able to adapt immediately to this. It seems like he might be the one of legend. The one of legend? What are you guys talking about? I'm just a kid. I was helping with a village, came back up, and my family was my family. My family was dead. Oh my god. That was real, wasn't it? They begin to nod, and the master of all the Demon Slayers comes out. I'm really sorry, but yes, your family is dead. But still, they've seen great potential in you. Tomioka has backed that fully, and so has Urokodaki at the word of Tomioka. But the main issue is still there. This Nezuko, your sister, cannot live. She is a demon. But Tanjiro disagrees that she won't hurt anybody. He promises Nezuko would never. And this so-called trance, maybe this will help as well, and he'll make sure to keep an eye on her at all times. Of course, the man is kind of concerned about this, saying that he can't just let her free roam. But, how about this? They will keep her under this so-called trance. On top of that, they will make sure that she's chained up and restrained for the moment. Eventually, when she gets better, they'll put her in a room where it's kind of locked off and blocked off from everybody. But at the end of the day, Tanjiro cannot take her around with him. Having a demon with the potential of turning on him during a fight is something they cannot risk. During a fight? What do you mean? He explains. You will become a demon slayer. At the end of the day, this is your only road to victory in this regard. You want to have revenge on the person that did this to your parents. On top of that, you want to protect your sister. This is the only way. Just as Tanjiro is about to accept this, obviously he has no choice, he's backed into a corner, figuratively and kind of literally in a way. But, out of nowhere, the Wind Hashira, before Tanjiro can utter a word, stands up and begins walking toward the shelter that Nezuko is in, saying that there's no reason for this is a waste of time to conform to a little brat's, basically regard. He begins to open the door as if he's going to drag the sleeping Nezuko out into the sun to let her die. But just as he goes, Tanjiro kicks him in the stomach, pushing him away slightly. Immediately, the Wind Hashira goes to fight as well, pulling out his sword and using one of his own techniques. He begins to use his wind breathing, first form, Dust Whirlwind Cutter. He dashes forward at blinding speeds and slashes continuously in this horizontal cyclone pattern. Tanjiro gets cut up pretty bad, but immediately picks up some sort of item or kind of weapon he can use and does the same thing. It's as if he's able to mimic exactly what just happened. And everybody sees this with their own eyes as Tanjiro is practically bleeding out. They take him away to the infirmary, and the master of the Hashira more or less disciplines the Wind Hashira for basically doing such a drastic thing. And they're all still extremely shocked. Tanjiro literally mimicked exactly what that the Wind Hashira was doing. Who knows how fast he would be able to learn every breathing style? Who knows how fast he would be able to master everything? If he can just know exactly how to do it almost flawlessly by seeing it one time, what can he truly do when he gets proper training? In which Tanjiro obviously will need some recovery time. He's extremely hurt, let's just say that, but eventually he will be healed up and ready to go, and he begins his actual training. Some of the other Demon Slayers, or actual future Demon Slayers that will be Demon Slayers in the coming years, actually begins helping him get ready, helping him train. They are all getting ready for the final selection, so it's really not too big of a deal. So Tanjiro begins to train with Tomioka first, training with him for only a couple days, and he can learn almost every single technique that Tomioka knows, at least to a point where he can use them. He begins mastering that said water breathing in a matter of days, being completely mastered and even knowing Tomioka's hidden form, Dead Calm. This complete technique is something that Tomioka made himself, being that it is extremely difficult to use, obviously. You can't just make a form up and just master it immediately. But Tanjiro was able to mimic all of it in an instant almost. A week or even 2 weeks pass and he knows every single breathing style in terms of water breathing. But then immediately after knowing all of this, he begins to question if he should go see someone else now. Would they be interested in training him? Tomioka says this is a good idea. If he can master every single breathing style, then why not learn every single breathing style? Frankly, that should be the way of a Demon Slayer if the possibility is in their regard. So that's exactly what he does. He begins learning everything he possibly can from various Hashira. They begin to explain to him though that these other techniques, these other styles are connected to various other styles which all stem from sun breathing. But knowing these styles and knowing these specific moves could actually grant him something different. Yes, everything is stemmed from sun breathing, but that does not mean the combination of every last one of them is sun breathing. He begins to learn from Kyojuro Rengoku. He begins to learn flame breathing, learning it relatively quick, maybe even faster than water breathing. And now he knows the basics, and now he knows practically so many different techniques. Learning from Rengoku, then learning from Mitsuri, then learning from all of the Hashira, Tengen Uzui, and, reluctantly the Wind Hashira as well. But still, every single last one, Shinobu, Yome, everybody, and frankly, another person that didn't really want to help him was the Mist Hashira. Frankly, he's a young guy himself, and he is a prodigy at the end of the day, but he's very stubborn in his ways. So eventually he was able to crack that code, but all of this training did take a good amount of time. And the main reason for this is because all of them were on missions as well. Everything is limited when they're out, so Tanjiro just sharpens his normal skills, learning to use a sword even better. But frankly, learning every single one of these techniques is beyond him. He has all of them under his belt, and even just sharpening those techniques allows him to be one of the best swordsmen. And frankly, this is the case because of one person. The best swordsman out of all the Hashira is the Serpent Hashira, by a large margin in fact. So the Serpent Hashira has basically rubbed off on him a good little bit in terms of his techniques and in terms of how well he can use and manipulate his sword. It's as if his sword is adaptive itself. In a way, it's similar to Mitsuri's sword, where he can basically manipulate it to his will, but at the same time, it has the same adaptations of serpent breathing, in which he has such good swordsmanship that he can just use this in a certain way that it basically slithers like a serpent would. But at the end of the day, it seems that there are some breathing styles that Tanjiro is currently missing, and he even asks about this. He says that isn't there more? What about some other elemental aspects? What about, sun? What about thunder? In which they say there hasn't been a sun breather in a long time. He can learn flower, but it's very similar to insect breathing, so he should be able to adapt to that practically instantly, and that would just be training with Kanao, in which he says that he's already seen a lot of her moves, so he basically has that down packed as well. They are convinced that he's basically to his limit in terms of learning, but obviously they don't have a Thunder Hashira at this moment, so how would they be able to train him in that? Well, the leader of all the Hashira brings him this book, a book about thunder breathing, but also something about moon breathing, and very little about sun breathing. Moon breathing is far different, it's explained. It's far different in many ways, and there was only really one person that utilized moon breathing to its fullest, utilized moon breathing at all. But at the end of the day, that person will not be able to teach Tanjiro, so he'll need to learn on his own. But that will not be an issue. Tanjiro begins to learn this so-called moon breathing, learning of its various forms that he begins to reveal himself. He's not able to reveal a lot of them. Mastering it will be extremely difficult. He'll need to actually fight or see this person that utilizes moon breathing. But they say that he's been dead for years. But they don't know that's really not the case. Nonetheless, he begins learning these techniques, eventually learning thunder breathing, and he's actually able to master thunder breathing pretty easily as well, it being similar to various other styles he has. But during one night of sleep, about 3 days before the final selection, he begins to see something. A memory? He sees someone dancing over and over in such a way that he's never seen someone dance before. The fluidity in all of the motion amazes Tanjiro, and he wakes up that said night and begins to do that same dance he saw in his dream. Snow begins to arrive, trickle down super slowly. But Tanjiro moves, and his body begins to warm. Over and over again, he makes those same movements, and he can feel the warmth all over his body. He pulls out his sword and begins to swing it around, and flames begin to emerge. This feeling of perfect unity, this feeling of something different. Every single breathing style is connected in some way or another. Connected all via the sun breathing, connected to flame breathing, connected to anything. But nonetheless, it's like a giant tree. They all stem from each other. The roots begin to ground Tanjiro as if this was something else now. He can feel his body adapting, as if this was the completion of the puzzle. He swings his sword once again, and he feels something different. He begins to move, strike with various different techniques, but slowly but surely they all begin to mesh, as if he was using and utilizing them all together. Water breathing and sun breathing at the same time. Flame breathing and love breathing on top of serpent breathing at the same time. Everything you can think of. Water breathing combined with thunder breathing. Everything could be used at will. Tanjiro can feel this, and Tomioka is sitting up watching him do just that. Tomioka is in complete awe at what Tanjiro is currently displaying. This is something that not even a Hashira would be able to do. This is something that not even the legends could truly explain. Now what will this become of in terms of Tanjiro? Tomioka knows exactly what this means. Tanjiro may be the key to killing that foul man. Finally, after a couple years have passed, or about 1.5 to be more specific, It's now time for Tanjiro and the rest of the Demon Slayers who haven't officially become Demon Slayers to take that next step. The final selection. One of the most grueling tasks a Demon Slayer can actually do in terms of stepping into the realm of being one of the Slayers that will hunt down demons at night. Tanjiro, not fearful of this, is told by Tomioka and the rest of the Hashira that he should still keep his wits about. He's a smart kid, and power is one thing, but he needs to be smart and needs to be fast, needs to be strong, but also needs to keep his head in the right mindset. Tanjiro knows this for a fact. He knows. After all the training he's done, he realizes that he may have that upper hand in terms of being some sort of prodigy. But at the end of the day, it's not over yet. Not even close. So the day when they arrive at the Slayer exam, he begins hearing the words of the two people in front of him, these twins. He hears them talk and explain the entire Slayer exam, or the entire Slayer final selection. And once they're done, they're sent into a forest filled with demons for about a week. But this is nothing for Tanjiro. Frankly, nothing for most of the Demon Slayers that were, or the future Demon Slayers that were in the Hashira Mansion initially. Kanao, Aoi, they wouldn't have too much trouble with this. Maybe more because how strong Tanjiro and Kanao were, but still, at the end of the day, they get out relatively unscathed. And Tanjiro goes face to face with one of the most terrifying demons he's seen so far, the Hand Demon, a giant monster that was stalking a young boy, a young Demon Slayer. Tanjiro sliced it up as if it were nothing, and the demon was shocked, confused. How was Tanjiro able to do such a thing? It looked like Tanjiro was using so many different styles, so many different types of movement. It looked like he was flowing like water, but then fast like this thunder, like electricity. In an instant he would move. They weren't sure. The demon wasn't sure, but it didn't matter. He had a long time to think about it in the purgatory of hell. Nonetheless, Tanjiro basically killed the mass majority of the demons, and more or less saved a lot of the people that were there. But Tanjiro awaited finally getting his ore, and then eventually heading back to the Hashira Mansion. This was just the beginning of his journey. At the end of the day, he needed to do a lot more than just this. So when they arrive back at the Hashira Mansion after a successful final selection, they begin waiting for their swords to arrive. Tanjiro finally arriving, or the sword for Tanjiro finally arriving, and as he grips it, the color does not change at all. He's confused and even asks them about this, and they have no idea what's going on, but they tell him to swing it around a bit. Use some of his breathing styles. Maybe that will make it work, or make it show anything. And that is exactly what happens. When using various breathing styles, he's able to reveal various different colors, depending on what he does. If he uses mist breathing, it changes to the color of the mist Hashira. Flame breathing, insect breathing, flower breathing, anything you can think of in terms of breathing styles, it would just change that to that color. And then it would do the same thing if he combined both styles, flickering in and out of different colors as he began to use various different styles. Just as he begins to experiment with this, he gets his first so-called mission, in which they say that they actually restricted his missions because they felt that he was more high grade than normal. So they felt that there was no need to actually send him on easier missions, so they sent some other Demon Slayers there instead. He asked them why he wouldn't just go do those anyways, but they said that it's really no problem, that they have a Demon Slayer on the way to handle some demon in a small town, that he should go handle the one in a larger city. And it's a city that basically this demon will be hiding in plain sight, because in that city, it never sleeps. The lights are always on, so the demon can roam how he wants. And Tanjiro sets off once again, saying goodbye to Nezuko, who hasn't really done much so far, but Tanjiro is worried that Nezuko may become a problem in the future. He doesn't feel like his sister is in the bad at all, and they've been actually doing some experimental treatment to basically get her to just enjoy being around humans, and this is actually the case. She's been around actually helping the sick and the hurt Demon Slayers recently, and it seems that she actually has a role in this whole Demon Slayer corp. but Tanjiro does feel it's better if she just doesn't come along. He doesn't want her getting hurt in the process. During this time, Tanjiro heads to this giant city. This giant city that is, there's lights all about during the night. He begins walking through, and he begins to get a bite of food. But during this time, he smells something. He smells a foul stench, the same stench that he smelt before when his family died. He goes dashing over, looking for the demon. Where is he? Where? Oh. He looks to see that said demon grabbing his arm, but he's holding a child. Holding a child? He's blending in with all these other people. He looks at the demon. This is Muzan Kibutsuchi. This is the king of all of the demons. Tanjiro is about to draw his sword, but reluctantly doesn't, and begins to question the man. What are you doing here? You know you're not supposed to be in a place like this. I hope you're not causing trouble. The little girl questions what's even happening, asking her father what's going on. But of course, he just plays it off like nothing's happening. What are you talking about, young man? I don't know what's going on. Sure, that's fine. But just know, do not send anybody to me. I'm gonna let you go because obviously I don't want to make a bit of a scene here. And maybe I can't even beat you at this moment. But we really wouldn't know until I started fighting. But at the end of the day, you send a demon after me, they'll die. It won't matter. Tanjiro slightly flashes his sword and then begins to walk away. Muzan in complete frustration. He's pissed at this man, this young boy. He just threatened him, and he would just kill him right now if he so chose, but he doesn't want to throw away his cover. It's useless. He thinks about making some other demons, sending some demons after this young man. Would it even be a good idea? Is he that strong? What's up with this kid anyways? Just as he walks away though, he gets flashbacks of a long time ago. The man that gave him the most trouble, the man that had him dead to rights, Yoriichi himself. He looks back at Tanjiro to see that man within Tanjiro as if, well, he's the same person. He's not so sure why, but he's going to send demons anyways after him. He's going to make sure this whole Tanjiro guy dies as soon as possible. Tanjiro begins to wait, eating his food, and even speaks to another person. Or at least that's what he thought initially, until he realized the stench. It's another demon by the name of Yoshiro. Yoshiro begins to say that Lady Tamayo wants to speak with him, that Lady Tamayo has some questions for him specifically. Tanjiro says as long as they don't cross the line, it won't matter to him. So he decides to follow him to a secret home, and they begin speaking, asking about various things, asking about Muzan. And she gives all the information she can, but there's one more thing he wants to ask. A cure. Can there be a cure? And Lady Tamayo says theoretically yes. Of course there can be. But it's going to take a lot of blood from higher level demons known as the Kizuki, and that he's going to have to do it by killing a lot of them. Yes, no problem. Understood. Now, one final question. Muzan, your relationship with him. What is that all about? She explains that she got away, that she was practically trapped, but luckily she was able to escape, and now she kind of just lives in peace. And honestly, she hasn't been too affected, as she gets all her blood from blood drives that are basically small increments just to keep them alive. She doesn't eat anybody or doesn't hurt anybody either, and she actually helps the town as well. But just as she says this odd volleyball looking ball comes soaring through the house. The house begins to just crumble as if the ball is bouncing everywhere, but Tanjiro immediately turns, slicing the ball in half, and walks out. A flash of light is all that could be seen. Tanjiro is gone from the hole in the wall to outside in a matter of an instantaneous second. Tanjiro has the head off the female demon immediately. A combination of his water breathing style and a combination of the speed of thunder breathing immediately slices the woman's head off, and immediately he's able to sense, using sound breathing, exactly where the next one is, slicing through an arrow that is coming his way and dodging anything else, dashing in once again, sitting right in front of the demon that is in the tree, slicing his head off and dragging his body to the ground. these demons, their blood any good to you? Lady Tamiyo and Yoshiro are completely in awe. How did Tanjiro just do all that? They've never seen a demon slayer be so perfect in terms of fighting. They've seen Hashira fights, and yes, he may be on the level of that, but that was different. They've never seen someone just use such a style. They even ask about it, asking him what type of, demon slayer he is. And he says that he's all of them. He's mastered every single breathing style, at least known to him. And that's why he's able to combine them all for effective attacks like those they just saw. They're pretty impressed, let's just say that. And the explanation of this whole breathing style is very eye-opening for both of them. But they say that the blood of them will actually help a little bit. Not to the extent that an actual, demon from the 12 Kizuki would, but still would help at the end of the day. Tanjiro nods and says that he'll make sure to keep killing the demons that are of higher tier and send her the blood. And eventually, hopefully, they'll be able to get a cure for his little sister. But just as he says this, they question what's happening. Where's his little sister? And he says that she's in the Hashira mansion, trapped away unfortunately, but she's been helping actually cure multiple sicknesses and other things like that, injuries, and she helps around the mansion. But obviously she's restricted because she is a demon and they don't want her to get out of line or get out of control. When Lady Tamayo hears this though, this gives her a whole new motivation. A whole new motivation to help Tanjiro as much as possible. And of course Tanjiro thanks her and begins to head off to his next so-called mission. His crow comes down and begins speaking with him about this mansion that is up ahead. A mansion that is riddled with demons. So Tanjiro heads over, but during this little trip, he comes across another demon slayer by the name of Zenitsu. Zenitsu has yellow hair or yellow-orangish hair and is begging a female to please marry him. But of course, Tanjiro doesn't really care about this whole situation, dragging him away, asking if he's truly a demon slayer, in which Zenitsu says he is, but he doesn't want to die, and that's why he wants that girl to marry him. And Tanjiro says that's ridiculous. You can't have a girl that doesn't know you at all marry you. It doesn't make sense. Nonetheless, Tanjiro says he'll be going on a mission with him. He's curious at what type of breathing style he uses. And Zenitsu says that he isn't even good. He only knows one form. And he questions what is that form. And he says that he knows thunder breathing. Tanjiro is pretty shocked. You're the first person I heard use thunder breathing in a while. I mean, I've only seen it in books. That's how I learned it. And which completely shocked Zenitsu, asking if he knows the other forms. Yeah, I've mastered the other forms. But still, the first form is really lethal. Probably more lethal than all the other ones as well. And honing one skill to its absolute most is important as well. Mastering something is very important, Zenitsu. And as he says this, Zenitsu actually is shocked. This boy, he just complimented him? That's something different. Nonetheless, they arrive near this mansion and they see two little kids, basically shaking in their boots, terrified. It's actually the fact that their brother got dragged into that mansion. And Tanjiro says that he will handle it, him and Zenitsu, and they can stay out here if they want, or go with them, but they have to keep really close to their hip. In which they say they'll go with them, and they walk into the mansion. The mansion is riddled with demons, or more like 3 to 4 demons. Tanjiro goes looking for the main demon, eventually finding the man with drums on his body. But just as their fight is about to begin, the roof collapses in, and it's this boar kid comes out of nowhere. What the hell? The hell are you? Immediately, this boy by the name of Inosuke begins trying to strike Tanjiro. Tanjiro easily parries and moves out of the way, kicking him in the back and basically throwing him the opposite direction. Listen, if you're gonna attack me because you're competing for demon kills, just get out of here. There's no reason to do that. Unless you can kill this guy on your own, feel free. But I'm kind of in the middle of something. Immediately, Inosuke tells him to stop looking down on him and that he will defeat this demon before Tanjiro can. Obviously not knowing his name and not saying his name, but he wants to defeat the demon before. So Inosuke goes charging at him, but he gets flipped to the roof, giving Tanjiro an opening to immediately slice the demon's head off, using a combination of flame breathing and love breathing. Something that is connected already, but able to extend his blade even further as if there was no basically metal involved, extending it entirely and slicing the demon's head off in an instant in one blaze of flames. And Inosuke sees this and is completely shocked and says he wants to fight Tanjiro. He wants to fight him and prove that he's the strongest. You know you could just train to do that, right? It's pretty simple. Just get stronger than me by training. Whatever. He stabs the demon and begins to take his blood as a cat appears and it gets sent to Lady Tamayo. Inosuke says that they can race for the other demons as well, as Inosuke begins dashing through the halls and tries to kill more demons than Tanjiro. Tanjiro doesn't really care. He says that, as long as they're getting the job done pretty quickly, it's fine with him. Because at the end of the day, he doesn't have any ill will to him. He doesn't know, and frankly, he looks like he's some guy from some wilderness somewhere. So Tanjiro just heads out, seeing Zenitsu, and drags him out as well. And when they arrive outside, they begin speaking about what they need to do and what needs to be done. You know, Zenitsu, if you really feel underwhelmed by everything about your power and stuff like that, you really should just try and get things done. You know, train, stuff like that. Head to the Hashira Mansion. They can give you some really good training there. Zenitsu begins to kind of cry about it, and Tanjiro kind of just shakes his head and just smiles, saying that he can't really do much about it if he's not going to do it himself, but he can see the potential in Zenitsu. It's pretty obvious. He wouldn't be a demon slayer if he didn't have some sort of potential. Nonetheless, during this conversation, Inosuke comes barreling out toward Tanjiro in hopes to fight him as well. He begins to ask the challenger his name. "What is your name?" And Tanjiro obviously responds, "Tanjiro Kamado. Nice to meet you, I guess. What's up with the boar head, anyways?"
"You do not listen, Tanjiro. I have this boar head because I'm stronger than you."
Yeah, that makes no sense. Okay, sure. Same thing with you. If you want to get stronger, you can always get trained by the Hashira. Well, hopefully they train you. They trained me. Tanjiro kind of shrugs and says that he doesn't really have much else to do, so he could show them the way to the Hashira Mansion. But just as he says this, they both refuse. They don't want to do that. They want to take a break first. So Tanjiro says that there's a house nearby. They can take a rest at the house, and then after the fact, they can head up to the Hashira Mansion so that they can get some training or at least figure some stuff out. Tanjiro telling them that they are falling a bit behind. He knows some techniques that they obviously do not, in which they do ask him to teach them, but at the same time, it's not that simple. He can't just teach them it and they won't know it immediately, but he tries his best, teaching them various things. And he actually does learn beast breathing from this. From spars that he has with Inosuke just briefly, he can basically get a grasp on beast breathing almost in an instant and learn the way of the beast, I guess. With Zenitsu, he only knows one form, and frankly, he can't even control it when he's not sleeping. Or at least that's what Tanjiro notices. He notices pretty quick that Zenitsu can't do anything else, but immediately he begins to teach him basically a way to use certain breathing styles. He says that mastering one is important, but at the same time, knowing a couple more would actually benefit him. So Tanjiro, during this one-day span, obviously not being able to get much done, it's one day, but still, during this time, he tries to help Zenitsu in the right direction, opening his eyes to various ways Tanjiro has learned to use thunder breathing, some ways that the old man wasn't even able to teach him. Yes, the old man may have been a master of thunder breathing, smarter than any thunder breather out there, but at the end of the day, Tanjiro has a way of looking at things, a far different way. So another mind doesn't hurt by any means, and this does allow Zenitsu to be on the right track in terms of learning more and more. And well, after their little rest, Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke are about to head up and leave to the Hashira Mansion until they hear a crow telling them that there is a fight nearby in this forest, a forest filled with demons that they need to handle immediately. Tanjiro says that they can head to the Hashira Mansion, that he can get this done, but Zenitsu and Inosuke refuse. They say that he's taught them a decent amount now. They need to put that into action. They want to learn more and more from all of this, and then soon, well, Inosuke says this mostly, then soon they'll be stronger than Tanjiro. in which Tanjiro kind of smiles at this, knowing that maybe there is some more demon slayers than he thought that would actually go about this the proper way. Tanjiro then heads up to the mountain with both of them, and when they arrive, they see a ton of people strung up on these strings, but quickly they're able to hang them up on trees with relative ease. The idea comes about them relatively fast, and with their speed and agility, it's not too difficult, but it's really what happens when you get closer and closer to the main demon. The demon then basically has stronger demon slayers that are captured, and on top of that, there's this monster that has no head. Tanjiro makes it apparent that he'll boost Inosuke up and get ready to slice through its head, so Tanjiro does just that. He uses a combination of any speed-like breathing style he has that would increase his mobility to launch Inosuke in the air high enough that he can come down full swing to slice the thing in half. Doing just that, Tanjiro boosts himself up onto a tree immediately, seeing a woman sitting there looking at Tanjiro. Tanjiro goes dashing in, but it seems like she's accepted her fate. Tanjiro wonders in his mind why. Why would someone just accept the fate of death? Does she really want herself to die that badly? So in that moment, he decides that he'll use one of the most peaceful forms he can possibly think about, and that's water breathing. He uses a form from water breathing called Fifth Form, Blessed Rain after the drought. This basically causes no pain when the person is decapitated. Little to no pain. It's a sword strike of kindness. Tanjiro is still kind of sad about this person. Feels kind of bad at the idea that she's gone through so much pain, and it seems like she didn't really have a choice in the first place. Nonetheless, that fight is finished, and Tanjiro continues on to hunt down more and more demons, and comes across a giant demon with Inosuke. A giant demon that looks to be one of the father demons. Well, Tanjiro's not so sure. Maybe he's part of the 12 Kizuki, but Tanjiro, as they fight, he realizes that the demon isn't too strong. Actually, isn't even on the level of a 12 Kizuki, at least he would assume. He begins to attack vital points around the demon, learning that the demon's armor is slowly but surely increasing. But just as he's about to land the finishing blow, it seems like something goes wrong. He gets smacked away, and he gets sent flying. He can't recover. He tries his best to use thunder breathing to recover back to his feet and jump back on the mountain, but it seems like he's too late, bouncing off of the side of the mountain and landing in a new area, screaming toward Inosuke to at least survive and don't die to the demon in front of him. He hopes that Inosuke is able to handle it, but nonetheless, he has to deal with whatever is to come right now. He stands right in front of someone else. Someone by the name of Rui and his sister. Rui sends his sister off, calling her a waste of space, and then Rui puts his attention on Tanjiro. You shouldn't eavesdrop on family affairs. And Tanjiro's not even listening to Rui at this point. How could you treat your sister like that? It's disgusting. Immediately Rui responds, saying that it's really none of his business for one, and secondly, let's just be honest, she is useless. In a matter of a split second, Tanjiro is in front of Rui, slicing at his head. Immediately Rui is able to dodge. Oh, now you're different. The look in your eyes, the way you can dodge, you're stronger than them. You must be part of the 12 Kizuki. Rui then laughs at Tanjiro. I am. You must be scared, terrified. I'm sorry, but I won't be able to make your death quick because you're kind of intruding on my little family gathering. Oh, no. I didn't recognize you because I'm scared. It's because I'm here to kill you. There's a reason for me to be here, Mr. Rui. I need your blood. Frankly, it would be quick and painless, or at least I would say it would be, but we both know it won't be. When I'm slicing your head off, it won't be how I sliced your mother's. Look, you treat your sister in the most wrongful way possible. I have a sister that is a demon, and she's far more nicer than you. And she can't even talk. She has a bamboo stick in her mouth. And all I want is her to be alive. And she's sort of alive right now. But I want her back. I want my sister back. Frankly, I want my family. But I guess that's too greedy for a world like this. And quickly, I've understood that. You want all of it. But unfortunately, I'll be taking it. Oh, so scary. You're so frightening, human. No, you're not terrifying. You're not scary, and you're gonna die here. Oh, so that's how you feel, Mr. Rui. I see. I see. The difference is, I used to be nice. I think I still am, to a certain extent. And I always try to see the positives in this world now. But there's a difference. There's a switch that got clicked in my head a long time ago. When I got brought up to the Hashira mansion, when they told me that I could learn every single breathing style possible, every power that the Hashira have, I could learn it, master it, thrive off of it. They basically told me I was a prodigy that would be able to set the course right. And you know what that meant, Rui? That meant I can free my sister from that eternal torment. The torment of being a demon. The torment of being corrupted. She's such a pure soul that she hasn't even fell into the corruption. You, on the other hand, is different. And you will not be getting out of this forest alive. And that is a promise. And that is a wrap. I hope y'all enjoyed the first of 2 installments of this Tanjiro What If, or Tanjiro What If fanfiction, all that good stuff. This is Tanjiro masters all the breathing styles, and I know this is a bit outlandish. I mean, obviously it's a What If fanfiction, but nonetheless, I hope you all enjoy. I want to get back into Tanjiro What Ifs more. I'm sorry that I took such a hiatus. Why I took such a hiatus from them, I don't know. I do that all the time. I always just forget. I think it's more has to do with the fact that I'm doing My Hero, I'm doing Shield Hero, I'm trying to do other stuff. I'm like, I want to do Tanjiro, I want to do JJK, I want to do this, I want to do that. But then I kind of get really excited about one anime, and then I just do one anime. So I'm trying my best. Well, I'll do my best to spread out the love. And I'm actually in the works of kind of writing a perfect schedule for me. So I'm just gonna be focusing on different animes of that schedule. So you might get weeks where it's all Demon Slayer, and you might get weeks where it's all Shield Hero, or maybe I'll split the weeks in half, stuff like that. We'll see. We'll see. I haven't really created it fully yet, but nonetheless, I hope y'all enjoyed, and I hope all of y'all make sure to leave a like, sub, and comment down below, you know, all that good stuff, and hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later. Fighting a demon in the middle of the night is as if you were staring down a barrel of a gun. Something that has such an advantage over you that you frankly have no choice but to choose what you want to do, to choose in a matter of a split second. That's exactly what Tanjiro will always be facing. Will always be facing that barrel of a gun pointed right at his forehead. Tanjiro knows this, and he knows damn well what he needs to do. And with the fight against Rui, one of the 12 Kizuki, even though he's on the lower end, he knows that this fight isn't going to be as easy as all the rest. But nonetheless, he's gonna put that foot forward and push on as hard as possible. So when he draws his blade, dashing toward Rui, immediately challenging him, he realizes that combining these breathing styles all together and perfectly learning everything he knows about swordsmanship will finally come in handy. All of the hard work that people were saying he needed to do because he was such a prodigy, because he had the opportunity to master everything. This is when Tanjiro will truly become a master, when he goes for the neck of one of the 12 Kizuki by the name of Rui. Yo, what is good, everybody? It's your boy Golden Falls, Golden What If, whatever you want to call me. And I'm back with the final installment of Tanjiro Masters All Breathing Styles. If you enjoy, make sure to leave a like, sub, and all that good stuff, and make sure to check out any of my previous videos. I want to do more Tanjiro What Ifs. I need to do them. Definitely need to do more. But nonetheless, the next What If that will be coming out is probably some Naofumi What If. Not exactly sure what, but I'm still planning on it. Nonetheless, I hope y'all enjoy, and let's just get right into the What If. Let's get it. Tanjiro begins to strike down Rui. Rui, the demon that is currently in front of him. Of course, Rui has power in himself, has power, has blood demon arts, has anything you could think of. He is, by all means, strong. But Tanjiro refuses to give up, slashing through every single defense you could possibly think of, using a combination of thunder breathing and flame breathing, trying to basically speed up his attacks and unleash everything toward Rui. It doesn't seem like he's outclassed. Tanjiro does feel one thing though, the speed discrepancy. Everything else, he has the up on Rui. It seems that his techniques are just outpacing Rui by a long shot, but it's really the speed that he has as a demon. Tanjiro realizes this and wants to amp up his thunder breathing to a brand new extent, amping it up as fast as possible, feeling his legs tense up, concentrate, and hurt like hell. But nonetheless, he doesn't care. Going bouncing and dashing forward at even faster speeds, he slices toward the neck of Rui. But just as he slices into his neck, he can feel that Rui is severing his own neck. It seems as if this won't matter. But just as he slices through, Tanjiro backs up with another big speed boost using thunder breathing and immediately unleashes something that is just outstanding. He begins to summon a form from flame breathing called Flame Tiger. But on top of that, he is combining it with a various amounts of other breathing styles, making this tiger be extremely potent, slinging it toward Rui as Rui tries to attach his head. But just as that Flame Tiger basically strikes into Rui, Tanjiro is there to follow up with his last bit of power from his Godspeed thunder breathing style, slicing into Rui's neck once again as the Flame Tiger overwhelms both of them, slicing it straight off as it instantly disintegrates Rui entirely. Tanjiro has done it. He's killed one of the 12 Kizuki and was able to get a sliver, just a little bit of blood, after basically injecting a almost disintegrated leg that Rui had left over. Luckily, getting that to Lady Tamiya will be something of high importance, but he's kind of out of commission, exhausted. He maybe didn't need that much power behind what he just did, but at the end of the day, he needs to figure out how to amp up his speed, use thunder breathing, master it entirely. This new thing he added, this wasn't something he even knew about initially. So he wants to utilize the speed of thunder breathing. That's his goal. If he can utilize the speed of thunder breathing at a constant rate, then all of this will be so much easier. The speed that demons work at are unholy. They're something that a human cannot obtain. But if he's in a constant state of thunder breathing, he'll be able to extend himself at insane speeds using various other forms, because that is what matters in terms of this fight. His raw strength, his power, his techniques are there, just his speed isn't. So that's what he wants to work on. Yes, he's thinking about this as he's collapsed on the ground, staring at the sky. But nonetheless, other demon slayers and the other people there group around Tanjiro and take him away. The rehabilitation process for Tanjiro begins. At the end of the day, he is extremely hurt, at least in terms of his legs. He overused thunder breathing by a long shot, but his recovery process won't be that long. His basically breathing techniques help him in that. He has very good control over his breathing, especially. But nonetheless, about 2 to 3 weeks pass and he's fully recovered. Way faster than Zenitsu and Inosuke in this, reality. Tanjiro then begins his training once again, asking the other Hashira for assistance as well. He wants to be able to control thunder breathing to the point that he can utilize it no matter what, and he begins trying to do this, and he can see his speed ramp up more and more, in which they do say that if he focuses on one breathing style, that he should be able to ramp up his speed no matter what. But they do agree. It seems that thunder breathing has this burst of speed that the other breathing styles just don't necessarily have. But still, this should be extremely beneficial for Tanjiro. So during his rehab and basically getting back to tip-top shape, Tanjiro focuses on thunder breathing. Yes, he's mastered the original techniques, but he can master even more, add on to anything. A master can always create more and more techniques, and he eventually creates this constant and static motion, It's this form that was unknown, and something that he wants to even show to Zenitsu. It's utilizing basically thunder breathing for a long period of time, increasing your tangibles, increasing your speed tenfold. Every step he takes is as if it was a giant leap. He realizes how beneficial this will be in a fight with the demon that could be extremely fast. He never truly knows. And after a while, Inosuke and Zenitsu are finally ready to start their rehabilitation, in which they do struggle with the idea of basically training back up, and they're kind of down in the dumps. But nonetheless, Tanjiro is able to get them out of that. Tanjiro is able to help them and learn more and more, even helping Zenitsu in learning this technique that Tanjiro now knows. Zenitsu, of course, struggles with this. He's never been good at learning more and more like this, but still, it's beneficial for Zenitsu to slowly but surely learn. Tanjiro helps train Inosuke and Zenitsu, learning more and more about this beast breathing. Of course, he did quote-unquote master it, but frankly, he had one day to look at all of his techniques. But now he knows practically all of them entirely, and master them flawlessly as well, in which Inosuke is pretty mad about, saying that he'll never show his beast techniques again. But Tanjiro says that it doesn't necessarily matter when he's already memorized them. But nonetheless, he can do what he wants. Inosuke and Zenitsu continue on with their training to get stronger and stronger. And of course, Tanjiro wants to stay in on this. He'll take any extra training he can get, eventually learning of Rengoku leaving. Let Rengoku heading off to this Mujin train to seek out this demon of some sorts. But as a couple days pass, notice from a crow would come to him, and notice from a crow would tell him that Rengoku would need help just to make sure that the entire area is secure after he defeats one of the Kizuki that are there. So Tanjiro decides to take it upon himself. He's extremely fast, so he'll head over to that area because he assumes that Rengoku will finish off that 12 Kizuki that he's fighting, or one of the 12 Kizuki that he's fighting currently, by the name of Enmu. But just as Tanjiro is arriving, he sees that the train is entirely stopped, and Rengoku is helping everybody out. But there's one eerie, very eerie sense that he begins to take, and just as he's fully arriving and walking up toward Rengoku, a fight breaks out between Akaza and Rengoku himself. Tanjiro begins to run over at insane speeds, dashing in so fast that both Rengoku and Akaza could not see him, slicing toward Akaza, landing a clean blow on one of his arms, giving an opening for Rengoku to slice toward his neck. But unfortunately, that wasn't good enough. Akaza is able to regenerate at insane speed, turning the tide of the battle right back to himself in a matter of seconds. He's able to parry Rengoku, landing a crucial blow, sending him backwards. Tanjiro turns as Akaza is right in front of him, blocking the blow that Akaza sends toward him, and Tanjiro is able to dash toward him once again, closing any distance between them in a matter of a millisecond. The thunder breathing constant that he's running through his veins, his legs, his arms, everything is something that is definitely benefiting him. He begins using anything he can possibly think of, anything that could stop him, can stop Akaza. And in a last-ditch effort, he decides something. He decides that he's going to pull something out that may or may not work, that this is all experimental. He decides to utilize thunder breathing to the point that he is hyperspeed as fast as possible, speeding up to an extent that may or may not hurt him. But on top of that, he's going to use a technique that only Tomioka, well, and I guess him now, knows in water breathing. He begins to use a technique called Dead Calm. Dead Calm basically drops his heart rate to extremely slow rates, about 50 beats per minute, meaning that this is very unsafe for Tanjiro. And the idea is that this should give him the advantage, speeding up his attacks immensely, but blocking the mass majority of attacks coming from Akaza himself. Tanjiro dashes in, and he can clearly see that he begins to put Akaza on the back foot. He puts him on the back foot, but that's not good enough when you're fighting a gun, when you're fighting a loaded bullet that is coming towards your head that is inevitable to hit. Tanjiro knows that fighting Akaza at night, being as strong as he is, he'll need to grant himself a giant opening, an opening that he cannot miss. Tanjiro begins to break that opening free, slicing both of Akaza's arms off, and Akaza panics slightly, trying to regenerate. Tanjiro then appears behind him, going for his neck, slicing into it, but it only goes halfway through. His body begins to panic. His body begins to atrophy in a way. It seems that he's running out of time at immense speeds. His idea was that dead calm would drop his heart rate, but he would be able to speed up his actions using thunder breathing. But this is extremely counterproductive and would only happen for a short amount of time. The idea was that maybe it would shock his heart back to normal heart rate if need be. But the dead calm and the thunder breathing is clashing with each other currently and destroying his body from the inside out. But as he begins to push more and more, his sword begins to light a blaze. But this blaze was different. The blaze that he was seeing was far different. It was burning like the sun. Something that he knew he had and something he mastered a long time ago, but he didn't utilize as much. He didn't utilize it as much because he felt the utility behind it was nothing. But he truly didn't know how chaotic, how strong sun breathing would surely be if used properly. So right when he slashes into Akaza's neck more and more, it lights a blaze and begins to obliterate through. And it begins to slowly but surely slice through Akaza. Akaza doesn't understand. How is he doing this? He's just a kid. How is he able to? Just as Akaza is regarding this, he sees flashes in his own mind, but these are not his own memories. Whose memories are these? He realizes these are Muzan's memories. Memories of a boy like this, but different. Tanjiro reminds him of somebody. Reminds him of a man. A man by the name of Yorichi. A man that was so powerful that it brought Muzan to the edge of death. So, that's the memory he's seeing, just as his life is being flashed before him. Akaza brings every last bit of himself to try and take Tanjiro with him, trying to punch a hole through Tanjiro's chest just as quick as he's about to die. But just as he's about to do that and throwing that fist, Rengoku grabs his arm, not allowing him to do so, and kicking him toward Tanjiro's blade as the flames erupt like crazy, as if there was a giant sun sitting on top of them. His blade went clean through Akaza, and his neck and his head falls to the ground. But just as that occurs, Akaza begins to still move around in his headless body. His body begins to spaz out as if it was growing his head back. But just as they thought they were seeing the impossible, just as they thought that was the case, that he was going to ascend even further and lose one of his ways of dying, his body began to deteriorate and disappear. Tanjiro and Rengoku have defeated Akaza, one of the strongest of the Kizuki. Word gets around like wildfire. Everybody hears about it, and hears about it extremely quickly. Rengoku carries Tanjiro back up to the Hashira mansion. Frankly, Tanjiro is, let's just say, extremely exhausted after everything he just put his body through, and he needs some recovery time. But it is announced that Tanjiro will be the next Hashira. He'll be added. They're not so sure what to call him. He's a master of all the breathing styles, so what kind of Hashira would he be? So they decide that they'll call him the Uni Hashira, a master of all the breathing styles, to the point that he was able to make every last one of them into one breathing style itself. A breathing style that could utilize every aspect of every style known to man. But nonetheless, that's what Tanjiro is now. After some recovery time, he decides that he's going to begin training Inosuke, Zenitsu, and anybody else, any other Demon Slayers he possibly can, in learning their styles even deeper, knowing exactly the ins and outs. And that is exactly what he begins doing. That's his job. That's the main thing he wants to do. So when it comes around that Tengen has a mission, Tanjiro will not be going on it, but a Zenitsu and a Inosuke will. Both of them are far more prepared, far stronger. Zenitsu being on a whole nother level compared to what he was even before. Same thing with Inosuke. So will Tanjiro be needed in a fight? In that fight? Well, with a Hashira as well as two other up and coming extremely strong demon slayers, I would say no. So Tanjiro stays back to teach more and more of the new generations of demon slayers in their hope that they can take down the Demon King himself, the man that has been stalking them forever, the man that now feels threatened at the fact that Akaza has now fallen. His third strongest demon has fallen to someone that has just become a Hashira. This feels as if it was history writing itself once again, that Yoriichi was back alive, but in a whole new way. Yoriichi was someone else, something else. Tanjiro Kamado is that something else, and he is the uni-breathing Hashira, and he will soon find his blade on the neck of Muzan Kibutsushi. And that is a wrap. That is a wrap. I didn't really want to force this last arc. I mean, that's why I kind of had that little bit there where I was talking about it. I tried to keep it in story format the best I possibly could, but yeah, I just don't see any need for Tanjiro to go to the entertainment district. For one, it would be a wash. Secondly, it doesn't really matter. He's a Hashira now, so he has other business to do, and I feel like this fits Tanjiro's personality. Being the master of all breathing styles, you can definitely argue that he'd be just teaching people how to utilize their breathing styles even more. And I don't go into manga when I do this. If you guys really want to see manga, like, blow this video up and I'll go into manga, but normally I don't go into manga. But the idea is that Tanjiro would probably make everybody around him that much stronger, and I feel like a lot of you can also assume that. Nonetheless, I hope y'all enjoyed this ending to this What If. Really love my Tanjiro What Ifs. I really love Tanjiro What Ifs in general, because I don't know, it's nostalgic. I haven't done them in a while, and I feel like every time I go back to them, I'm always like, wow, like this was pretty fun. It just has to be that certain idea, if you know what I mean. But yeah, that's about it. I hope y'all enjoyed, and I hope all of y'all have an amazing day. Yep, later.
I don't wanna waste what's left.